And now, we've reached the end of the symposium. To wrap up the last couple of comments, I ask Chris, Dean, Lee, and Marie to join me on the stage.
Ladies first. Well, how many of you are thinking differently about the future of mobility than you were 48 hours ago? Show of hands. All right, pretty good. And how many of you are maybe thinking differently about geography than you did a couple days ago? Not so many. A few? All right. That's one of the reasons why we have this event, and we thank you so much for participating. I know it's like an intense drinking water from the fire hose, but hopefully you have a time to digest these ideas and meet more people at a reception that follows. I just want to acknowledge our AP Human Geography teachers who are here. Raise your hands. Let's see you. We love having you here, and we just wish we could be flies on the wall when you go back to your students next week. I know it's going to be right before Thanksgiving, and you're going to tell them about all kinds of flying drones and hyperloops and how their world is going to change. I said at the beginning when we had the Mapathon, one of our founder directors, Isaiah Bowman, who was extremely influential in shaping the map of the world, said that for all intents and purposes, each generation makes its own geography. All geography is always new. And I think this last 2 days just underscore that point. We are making a new geography, and it's beautiful, and it's terrifying, and it's messy, but by God, we're doing it. And that's one of the reasons why the American Geographical Society still exists and thrives, because we know we're making that new geography all the time. We also exist because we have great partners. We have the Earth Institute here at Columbia. We love you guys. Thanks for supporting us. We have the Fund for the City of New York. They have been ideal partners helping us shore up institutionally. We have OGC and FCN, no, who's the other one? Okay, thanks. Say it again? USGIF. Ah, yeah, we got it. USGIF, thank you. These have been critical partners with us. And I just want to thank you all for participating. I look forward to seeing you next year. And now I'd like to introduce to you GOATist, the Geographer of the United States, Lee Schwartz.
Thank you, Marie. Am I mic'd? All right. I want to wish everybody the end of National Geography Awareness Week. I'm not really sure everybody is aware of that. I am intimately aware that 30 years ago, in a bill co-sponsored by Senator Bill Bradley and Congressman Leon Panetta, this week, the third week in November, was created as National Geography Awareness Week. I was a fresh PhD at American University at the time, and it's hard to imagine that it's been 30 years, and we've seen tremendous growth in, I think, geographical awareness, and in large part it's been fueled by technology. And the subject of our symposium this year was very technology heavy, but I think it also had a good balance in that we spoke about the human condition, because I think we have to realize that when we're talking about geography, we're really talking about the geography of our planet, but also about the inhabitants of the planet and the animals and the flora and the fauna and the people. I define national security in the work I do in my office as human security. I always try to keep that in mind when we're talking about the future of geography. I have a long and sordid history with the American Geographical Society. Starting from when I was in graduate school, actually packing up the map collection from the American Geographical Society as my summer job, and moving it out to Wisconsin. I wouldn't have my job if it weren't for the American Geographical Society and the work it did in the inquiry following World War I, which pretty much led to the creation of the office that I now head. I was fortunate to have Jerry Dobson, who's the President Emeritus of the American Geographical Society, but he was the sitting head of the AGS when he did a year in my office as a Jefferson Science Fellow. And it was during that time where we actually met up with Chris and brought him onto the council and conceived the idea of this symposium. So sorted, that's when it became sorted, when we brought Chris in, so that's why we're long and sorted. I was at the State of the Map Asia conference in Kathmandu in September, and I was really quite impressed at the number of young people and the number of women in Kathmandu that were leading the charge for participatory mapping and disaster response and a whole lot of other really important issues that are going on in that part of the world. And I think that sort of brings us full circle to realize that if we're talking 2050, we're really talking about the next generation of who's going to inherit this world. And that's why it's so important, I think, that we continue to engage the youth. That's why important is we have the AP Human Geography teachers here. The American Geographical Society is the foundation is a partnership between academia and government and private industry, and increasingly, the innovation that's taking place is technological. That's really changed, I think, over the years, where it used to be, government and defense that was leading the technological innovation. But it's really going to be carried out, I think, by the next generation. And so I think it's really important that this group tries to maintain a dialogue between all three of those, of those legs of the American Geographical Society, and most importantly, to translate that message down to the next generation. It's not going to be easy because things are changing faster than we can talk about them even. But I think if we can't message that correctly, we're going to become three separate components, and each will sort of go on their own trajectory, and we may have a room full of robots here by 2050. So I hope that doesn't happen. So thank you. And now I'd like to hand the stage over to the person who's really responsible for driving the program here, Dean Wise.
We've tried to bombard your brains with a lot of new ideas, and I think we did. As you dissemble them, assemble them, reject them, raise them up in your consciousness, weigh them as a dueling narrative, I want you to think about what we're trying to do here, which is how do we use the lens of geography to explore how this transformation will unfold by 2050. And the one thing that I'm encouraged by is we think about all the various business models, new technologies, investment strategies, public policy strategies. There is some set, and we heard about a lot of them today. There are obviously more that we need to explore, but there's some set that you all can start thinking about. Say, what is the vision that I really want by 2050 that's going to reduce the number of people we kill on the road, that's going to improve the mobility and access of the underserved or the overserved after the cocktail hour, that is going to improve the sustainability by a shift to electric, which ultimately will be lower fossil fuel emissions, and make a better society. Oh, and reduce all the red lines, of course. So can we grow all this transportation movement, which we all want, and have less congestion? So think about that normative vision. Read through this white paper. I think there's still some good ideas that will help you process through that. So thank you very much to the speakers. Thank you all for attending for a day and a half. And this is just the beginning of the journey. Let's make this a good outcome by 2050. See you then.
So, who enjoyed the conference? Who's coming back next year? Ah, very good, all right. So thank you for joining us. As I said at the beginning, this was the fourth installment in this multi-year strategic dialogue. When we first started, we kind of winged it, and it worked. And then we started moving to, what's the next theme? And mobility is kind of our third thematic year. After we did one thematic year, the council said, wait a minute, we need to start thinking forward, get ahead of the curve, spend a year thinking this through. And now we actually plan 2 years ahead. I heard Adrian just pitch 3 years ahead. The future of money. We'll have to debate that at the council meeting. But it's an interesting conference for those of us who think about geography or think about the world through a geographic lens, but it's a tough conference because we change the theme every year. But we do encourage all of you who may be focused on mobility to tell all of your friends who are interested in energy, because that will be our theme for next year. In the topic of moving to the left and getting ahead of the curve, we've actually already launched our website. Did we put, oh, there we go. And we'll switch it over to the main Geography 2050 probably next week, so you can kind of read our little, I don't know, what do we call it? It's not a manifesto, an essay, a little overview of how we're thinking about the future of energy and powering our future planet. We encourage your input. This is a year-long process when we put together our sponsors and our speakers and just our general way of thinking about the topic. It's great to hear your input. What would be good for you as teachers, folks from the geospatial technology and data industry? What are cool things that you've seen out there on the street that you think everybody should know about? Think of this as a community process, and you are part of the community. On that topic, I'll also say, you see the little I am Geo stickers on your table? So we launched a membership campaign. I'd say it's more of an awareness campaign, but membership is a piece of it. For those of you who are part of the global Twitterati, you can follow #IamGeo. Because we're starting to put out profiles. Actually, we've invited all of our, a small number of our members to put profiles on their website. Allison actually put one of our teachers put one up for us, and we encourage all of our teachers to participate, all of our members to participate, and to spread the word about the power of geography, the importance of geography, and to let everybody feel, actually become a stakeholder in the society. But starting by kind of your own testimonial, your own, why this is important to you. I don't know, I probably know, let's say I know a quarter of you out there. That means there's 3/4 of you in this room who are inspired by geography, who see that it's important, and I don't know why. So hopefully on our website you become a member and put your little testimonial up there, so I can know why you care about this and let you be a part of our future planning. So we'd really appreciate, wear the stickers, give them to your kids, your grandma, I don't really care, put it on your laptop, and follow it on Twitter, and hopefully the stories of people in this room who go on the website will inspire you to become more involved. Next slide. I'd like to thank, well, obviously you, and I'd like to ask you to just put it on your calendar for next year. Energy is our theme, but you have to put it on your actual calendar and plan ahead. A lot of us have to talk to our bosses, or we need to talk to our spouses to make sure that the week before Thanksgiving you're able to make it to New York City. So we'd appreciate you doing that. And then our sponsors. I'd also like to, before I get to our sponsors, I want to talk about one of our partners and thank again USGIF. You saw the US Geospatial Intelligence Foundation. Everybody saw Parag Khanna's book in their bag. That is due to the gracious act of Keith Masbach, who is, thank you, Keith, who's President and CEO of the U.S. Geospatial Intelligence Foundation and also an AGS counselor, so thank you, Keith, for that. We all want to take Parag home with us, but there's only one of him, so we can at least take his book home with us. And to our sponsors, please. This is a barn raising. Every year, we have to call everybody we know in the village to get the barn built. It isn't me, it isn't just John, it isn't just Vilma Gallagher, though I'm not sure how this would ever happen without Vilma Gallagher from the Earth Institute helping us. It's a lot of people involved, and it definitely doesn't happen without our sponsors. It was said before, and I'll say it again, Boundless, their generosity enables us to have our AGS Teaching Fellows program and to have our 50 teachers here, and they help us with programmatic support over the course of the year. Spatial Networks, Tony Quartararo has got to be here, right? There you go. Raise your hand. Stand up, Tony. Tony's actually CEO of 2 companies, both Spatial Networks and Fulcrum. If you don't know what Fulcrum is, download it and use it because it's just super cool. But if you also want to meet somebody who's super interesting, go hang out with Tony. Radiant Solutions, you may not know this, but Digital Globe, the biggest commercial imagery provider out there, just had gone on a buying spree and bought many companies, actually several companies that have sponsored our event in previous years. And they were gracious enough to total up all of their previous contributions and come in large again. Radiant Solutions is the national security arm of Digital Globe, and Radiant Solutions led the charge inside Digital Globe this year. So thank you very much to our premium sponsors. We must have another slide. There you go. And all of our sponsors. Mapbox, National Geographic bought you breakfast or lunch. Vricon, hopefully you enjoyed all those 3D fly-throughs, and if you need to get high-resolution 3D maps for something, call Isaac or go drink with Isaac. RGI, Reinventing Geospatial, a great innovative company down in Washington, D.C., helped sponsor. Leidos came in, thank you very much. Thermopylae. Is Thermopylae sponsoring our next? Well, I'll save them to last. BAE Systems for the bags, ESRI, thank you so much. And Thermopylae Sciences is actually, Thermopylae Science and Technology, is that right? Sorry. Is actually sponsoring our event in Low Rotunda. So that's all I have to say, except for the instructions. Who knows where Low Rotunda is? Okay, follow the people who have raised their hands. Don't follow the people who didn't raise their hands. But we'll be heading out these doors. And if you haven't already seen kind of the beautiful interior of Columbia's campus, it's even more beautiful at night with the lights. So you'll be able to walk across the campus to the large domed building. It's Low Memorial Library. And you'll walk up the steps. If you have a mobility challenge, there are some ramps and a side door. If you don't want to take those main set of stairs, there's a side door. I'll hang out there and you just ask me for that. But we'd love to see you there. Please, everybody, join us. And if you have to leave, sorry to see you go. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next year.